Beep, 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 beep. Hello, peapods. IKEA. Land of the Swedish meatball. I wish, I had that, the sauce that they make that goes with the sweet. That is such a naughty sauce. Did you ever do you know about this? So you go to IKEA or you make your own meatballs, whatever it may is, and you go and you pick up, some melamine shelving and a few strange pots. And then you buy a couch that looks like something out of the 1960s that'll be out of fashion in the next week. Older people are classier than that. Get leather and wood. Stick with leather and wood, you'll be all right. If you're a young person, don't buy anything other than leather and wood. In brown, and all your walls should be magnolia. The Swedish, IKEA, have a meatball sauce, right? It's bloody amazing. It's absolutely glorious until you realise what it is that's in it. So I bought a packet. I thought I'll make some meatballs. Add half a pint of double cream. What? Stir. It's just so bad for you. Anyway, I didn't bring you on here today to talk about Swedish meatballs. What's wrong with me? Buy me a coffee. Give me a super thanks, please, if you can help. Warrior Teach Program will be in October. The next start I'm planning is for October. So let's see how we get on, if we can get a few people on the one in October, the details of which will be going up shortly. Other than that, it's about time this was put on record in a sort of here I am talking about it feature, rather than a simply read it feature, and I will put the links as usual in the doobries, because I think this is something that we need to pay attention to, and not enough attention has been paid to by people who are not in the know. Those in the know about it. And this is about the long-term follow-up of transsexual persons undergoing sex reassignment surgery, cohort study in Sweden. This is from 2011, right? So we're going back a bit. Let's just make sure I got that right. Yeah, February, published online 2011 and February 22. So it's been put back up again since, okay, in a journal. So again, we're back in academic land here. It's under the PubMed Central, and you can go and get it by clicking on the link in the doobries. I thought I'd take a look at this with you, and then you can keep this because it might be helpful, I think, or bookmark it, whatever you do. Like it as well. Like it and bookmark it, because it may well be useful for conversations that you're having with others about the problems that are involved in the gender ideology and queer theory cult. This is from 2011. Bear in mind the language then reflects the reality of 2011 rather than the reality that the gender Borg would like you to think we're living in. The context was the treatment for transsexualism is sex reassignment, including hormonal treatment and surgery aimed at making the person's body as congruent with the opposite sex as possible. There is a dearth of long-term follow-up studies after sex reassignment, meaning there isn't any. Their objective was to estimate mortality, morbidity, and criminal rate after surgical sex reassignment of transsexual persons. And the design was a population-based matched cohort study, and it was done in Sweden. Get this is the important bit, from 1973 to 2003. From 1973 to 2003. So this was a fair old time ago, this started, 1973. What was going on in 1973? When did we get Dressed to Kill? Dressed to Kill was 1981. Johns Hopkins abandoned all of this about in the late 70s, I think, or mid to late 70s. John Hopkins abandoned it. 81, we got Dressed to Kill from Brian De Palma, which was the first real warning to the world that there was something amiss. Prior to that, you had really perverse things like Let Me Die a Woman, which is a very odd thing altogether. But this was Sweden 73 to 2003. And if you look at that, what's happened between 2003 and 2023, which is the 20 years since it was first published, goodness me, the world's gone mad. Because a lot of what's problematic now we knew. So the participants were all 324 sex-assigned persons, 191 male to females, 133 females to males in Sweden. There was a random population controls were matched by birth, 10 to 1, by birth, year and birth sex, or reassigned final sex, respectively. They're using language here which we now know is you can't change sex, it's nonsense. But there was 2000, think about the time, okay? Then there's some information about measures which I don't understand. You can have a look, it's in the doobries, I don't understand it. And then we've got the results, which I think are important. So let's just go through those. The overall mortality for sex reassigned persons was higher during follow-up than for controls of the same birth sex particularly death from suicide. Particularly death from suicide. That's so sad. In other words, that when they looked at the people that were just the control group, and then you looked at the people who had these dreadful interventions, the suicide is higher afterwards. That should tell us something, shouldn't it? Sex reassigned persons also had an increased risk for suicide attempts and psychiatric inpatient care. So what we're saying is that not only was there more deaths, there was more attempts, which would be understandable, primarily I would imagine because of what they'd done to their bodies. And then not only that, there was more psychiatric inpatient care, in which case they'd been brought into a clinical psychiatric environment in order to be cared for and looked after. So we've known for a very long time that it makes people hurt themselves and go mad. We've known from almost the beginning. Comparisons with controls matched on reassigned sex yielded similar results, female to males, but not male to females. This is interesting. Females to males, but not male to females, had a higher risk for criminal convictions than their respective birth sex controls. You give women testosterone, you make them criminals. That's what it's saying in a sort of strange way. It's obviously not that, but you get the idea. So female to males, but not male to females, had a higher risk for criminal convictions than their respective birth sex controls. If you masculinize women using a hormone that is from males, that woman is more likely to go on and commit a criminal offence. Gosh, golly, gee, wow. How surprised I am. Not. What did we think was going to happen? The conclusions that were taken from this study, which again is available for you to read in depth if you wish to, if you have that level of interest, in the Dubris, persons with transsexualism after sex reassignment have considerably higher risks for mortality, suicidal behaviour, and psychiatric morbidity than the general population. One finding suggests that sex reassignment, although alleviating gender dysphoria, we're not even sure about that anymore. Because it appears to at the beginning, and then generally it doesn't, I think we're finding now, may not suffice as treatment for transsexualism and should inspire improved psychiatric and somatic care after sex reassignment for this patient group. It's just so bloody sad. It's just so sad. 1973 to 2023. For God's sake, a Swedish study. That's only 327 people, admittedly, but I would say that should be enough to cause a moratorium on the whole damn thing. John Hopkins certainly thought that, because they stopped doing it. We've seen lots of stuff lately about the NHS and about this and that and the cash report and everything else that's going on. All good people trying to do the right thing. In my mind, the whole thing ends. Nothing will do other than an absolute ban on the whole process. You wouldn't give an anorexic a gastric band, would you? To me, it's the same principle. It's terribly sad. The whole damn thing is just sad. That's me being grey and miserable like the weather. Go on, have a good day. I'll see you later.